see all that traffic behind me? That's our highway, and I think there's meant to be snow up the top of the mountains, and so everybody and their dog has come up to try and have a look. Yeah, I needed to come up to the pharmacy. I got to the highway and I saw the traffic just crawling, so I had to drive up the back road. The back road was a little bit crowded of people trying to avoid the traffic as well, just to sort of cut around it a bit, because it's just crawling. And it's cold. So it's one of the local Facebook groups for the mountains. It was saying that strong chance of snow up this way because it's so cold, and it feels like it. It's cold out. It's only 9 out, but that's 9 centigrade. But it's really windy, so there's probably a fair bit of wind chill involved in that. And if it's blowing down from, it's blowing down from up top, and the clouds are looking pretty dark, so there's probably a chance of there's snow or sleet. Slightest chance of snow up in the mountains just west of Sydney, and everybody down in Sydney wants to try and come up. I mean, it's a tourist area, but it gets worse. My local shops in the mountains, a small area, it's packed as anything. I think I saw 3 other people wearing a mask, my age or older. And everybody younger than that is invincible. Tuesday Arvo. I think I spent most of the weekend working on uni assignments. Work's been a bit busy, which is why I don't think I've done any things at work just yet. But I just wanted to reflect on it because I am really curious about how other people in the community are dealing with or approaching the fact that COVID is still an issue. So I needed to come up today just to the pharmacy, and as I was pulling in through the car park, it's not a big place, but that means it gets busy, and I saw one older fella with a mask on just as I was driving through the park. But then this time around, I think I saw four other people other than me and that other bloke actually wearing masks. One lady was probably around my age. The other people I saw were younger. Like a young bloke came into the pharmacy to pick up something. He had a mask on, and not a disposable one, reusable one like what I've got. As I was walking towards the pharmacy, a young woman came out with her daughter. She was wearing the mask, daughter wasn't, and I think that could be still there's still this belief that children aren't as affected by it. It's just interesting to see how other people are approaching this, and that there are other people taking the position that there is something happening at the moment and we need to take precautions for both us and others. So I think it's nice to know that I'm not the only person where in the areas that I go. Of course, previously up here in the mountains, you didn't see many masks, and I think a lot of people thought that we were too far removed from it all. We weren't down in the city, we weren't down in the flat area of Western Sydney. With the latest wave that essentially, I think, started down in Victoria and then made its way up here because of the Crossroads Hotel down in southwestern Sydney, when they were doing the tracing of people from there, that was where they did find a guy who had gone there because he worked down that way, and then he came home into the mountains, and when he started to feel a bit sick and crooked, he went and got tested and came back positive, so his family went and got tested, and his wife and kids also had it. I don't know where in the mountains they live, they just said they were from the Blue Mountains. to me, that's enough to just go, okay, if you're up here, you need to be careful. The fact that I work down in Western Sydney, where there's no known cases, where my school actually is, but we all do need to be careful, and we all do need to be responsible and respectful of other people, and we're all basically in this together. We've got to look after ourselves and each other. An unplanned trip to Bunnings. One of my staff said they needed batteries for our little Edison robots. And because we've got a Bunnings account, it's easier for me to go and get it with the card. And so I just came to the nearest one back from work. Pleased with the response that Bunnings is having to everything. Signs, we recommend and request people wear masks, and a lot of people in there without, but all the staff have. And I kind of prepared myself for going in, got the mask, got some gloves on, and I got my cards out ready, so I wasn't going to be fumbling with my wallet inside as well. And so I sort of walk in, pick up the stuff I want. If it was only the contactless payment, it'd be perfect. But because I'm using an account card, they've got to take the account card and swipe it. So, but then contactless payment, and so the only things that got touched, not by me, like by somebody other than me, was that card, the receipt, and the batteries. But so I carry them out with the gloves, and they get thrown in the back. Take one glove off before I get into the car, so I'm touching the card handle with my clean hand, and then I can get in, get the other glove off without like touching the outside of it, type thing. Hand sanitizer, sanitize the cards. Part of you feels like it's overkill, other part feels like it's not. And I've got to get onto the websites because the latest cases in New South Wales, the latest one I heard about, was a bus driver, and the bus driver was in this vicinity. And the first thing they said was like the bus driver was wearing a mask, which I've noticed just about every bus driver I've seen have had a mask on through their shift. But they'd initially said it was only on for a short amount of time. And then later it said, well, he was actually on shift for the entire day or something like that. Multiple different runs. I think the contact tracing they're doing here is good. So they'll say the person who tested positive had been here and here and here and been here, and with this bus driver they'd been on this run and this run and this run and this run. And then they basically say to people, like, if you've been in those places on these dates, then you should really monitor yourself and come and get tested. So I think because we're starting to be a little bit more cautious, or most people are, that I think our numbers of new cases and that sort of stuff have been staying kind of low. Like Victoria's still around the 200 new cases a day at least. Queensland above us had started to have a increase in some cases. Thinking like it's been really hard to find news articles about New South Wales. It's because there haven't been any big explosions of clusters lately. Pubs have been closed for cleaning, contact tracing coming from there, and there's been a couple of schools in the news that have had to be closed, cleaned, etc. I really look forward to when this doesn't become my focus. It just currently is. If people start to let their guard down and become relaxed or complacent, that's when we'll see explosions in cases. So I really hope that society continues to stick to the line of like we've got to look out for everybody so that this doesn't continue. I was on that Google Meet call with shop teachers from around the US and Canada today. That's become kind of a bit of my professional development because I'm You get to share ideas and learn with each other. They're all in a tougher situation over there. What does going back to school look like to them? And it's going to be different everywhere. And we're all kind of thinking that this could really change the way that education and schooling is done from here on in. One of the teachers I talked to runs a construction program at his school, and they've reduced the number of students he has, and because he actually teaches on a construction site, the students sort of come away from the school normally to be on this house building program, and they've got some really good protocols in, and because they're not on the school ground, it's a little bit different. They asked me how we were going about things, because we're back at school and have been back at school for quite a while, and myself for 6 weeks since the last break. Part of the discussion was, do we think that anything that was done during the lockdown will be brought across to the way things are done from here on in? And one of my things was I tried to do some short lecture things for some of my classes for them to keep up with the topics while we were closed down. And I'd really like to use those in the future, or something similar to that, where you have the lecture that the students can look at in their own time, so that when you're at school you can focus on questions that they might have, or you can focus on the practical components of your course. It's very much a flipped classroom type model, which I've been trying to do for years, where you do provide video for the students that they can look at, so it's just small, and then when they come into class they can ask questions if they need extra explanation. Can focus on skill development rather than having to have a lot of time being taken up with lecture in the classroom. I do really want to be able to get my students to be a lot more student-centered in the way that they learn, and I've always considered myself to be somebody who is a facilitator of their learning. Like, I can demonstrate something, they can learn it, and then I can help them to develop that skill, develop that understanding. It's not just me saying, here's the content. I really do wonder if this sort of a setup could be used going forward, and this is what a lot of the guys over in the States were saying, that especially the ones that work with the senior high schools, you're kind of preparing your students for life at university, because there's a lot of universities that do a lot of online coursework, and then your readings, and then when you get into your tutorial group, it's when you focus with your lecturer on questions that might have come up from the readings or from the video or from the online coursework. And myself, I'm currently doing my master's, and it's online, and so you do all your coursework and your readings, and then you get together with your lecturer via an online learning platform so you can discuss stuff then. But most of it's things you do in your own time, and I know that's kind of a big step for some high school students to have to make, but it could be a good way of preparing your high school students in the senior years for that potential eventuality. But they're all in different situations over there, and that's what they're trying to come to grips with. Some states are still, we're not there yet. Some states are, we're back in some capacity. Kind of like when we first went back, students coming in part-time, and I think some of them had that kind of a model happening where they'd see some of the cohort on each day, Not sure if this week felt like it flew by or if it dragged out. It's Friday arvo, 25 to 6. I've just walked out of the staff room. I've been in there remarking and scanning vet documents, like clusters for construction year 12. Today was the deadline for non-award warnings for year 12 students, and my guys have been frantically trying to get stuff marked, like written, so I could mark it for that cut-off. And I've just finished it all, and I only just realised that remembered that today was the deadline. And I've gone through everything. The kids got across the line. In here, year 12 were going frantic, some of them trying to get some overdue practical tasks completed, and they were really panicky because today was the day on their letters. Same with year 11. And I could see that the kids were really close, and they said, can we just get it finished at the start of next week? And I think by the time, because today was the deadline, by the time the letters all would have gotten processed next week, they would have been completed. And so I said to them, I've got you Tuesday morning, I'm sure you'll finish. A few little things have sort of been fixed up in the area. Our little ag plot is now completely fenced. Our GA used one of the panels and created a gate section that's got a latch on it and everything, so that when the ag teacher gets his animals to graze in this area, the sheep and the cattle, they've come up and eat our vegetables before. So this area, I've really got to clean up all these pallets. Like, I've got a job for them all, and I'm going to bring my reciprocating saw in with a metal cutting blade and break down these tables into the lengths of tubes so that they can be able to stack them in there then, and they'd be out of the way from here. But a couple of year 12s who didn't have to do all this catch-up work, they're ahead. They worked on this space here. So they basically excavated out the space and started to create the formwork so that they can do a slab like that. This is cluster E, and they're going to get that done, and we should be able to get concreting done in about a week or two's time. And I was just thinking I might have to get some of my Rio from home and cut it up and bring it down either the back of the truck or in the trailer. But I've just come over here and I've actually got 2 pieces that are about big enough for that slab. It's just there. And then this picnic table will go on top of that one. The other thing I did want to show you, although I'll wait till next week now, our year 12's timber class, which my other teacher was running this year, their projects were due yesterday afternoon, 3 o'clock. That was the deadline. And they made it. It was a class of 7, and we've got 7 projects. So we're really happy about that. I know my teacher's happy about that. I'm happy about that. The kids are happy about that. Folios as well. That's usually the biggest stress. What else? Back into Fun Shirt Friday, kind of. Today staff were asked to wear something purple for the LGBTQI community, and I went through my wardrobe last night, and the only thing I have that has purple is my fake tux t-shirt. So that was my shirt today. So and it's Friday, so kind of back into Fun Shirt Friday. Head home now. Got my first uni assignment due tonight. Much got it done. I've got to go home and just check my referencing, make sure I've got that all done right, log in and submit it. Hours drive home, and I'll catch up with you soon.